Options for taking in information. So when you do it in small groups, you do it in whole group. You do auditory, you show a video, or you actually write out something. The process for making sense of the idea, how the student makes sense of the idea, do you give them an option for doing that? So one of the ways that I see, and I see it a lot at the elementaries, middle and high school, especially when they're going into groups, you start doing the cooperative grouping, that's a form of differentiation. So that they're able to actually talk and interact with each other to make sense of what it is you just gave them. And then of course, the one that usually comes up the most is product. You allow them to turn it in a different way. So, and we do this probably with more than just our students who are identified gifted and talented. Because we all know that we have some students that are gifted and talented that might not necessarily be identified. But we give them another option for turning in. Instead of turning it in a book report, you can do it in a PowerPoint. And then of course we were running across the same idea that if they work on this great project at home, and then you can't show it in class because you don't have the software that you need. That's always, it's always going to be an issue. So those are the 3 different ways to differentiate any curriculum. And this just goes more specifically into ways that you can do that, which is what we just did. So you do, so for like the first one, Moodle is actually a really good way to differentiate by content or topic area. Because as you can see with your Moodle, when you log in, if I wanted to, I could have you in 3 different groups and have Camilla and Teresa be working, because it's self-paced, working on a different content than everybody else is working on. Moodle allows you to do that. And so that's what's really nice about it. You can differentiate with that, because you can just create groupings. Doing the process or doing anything differently. Instead of having them manipulate the ideas with the concrete, you could bring in a graphic organizer and have them actually put it in a little bit more abstract way. So doing maps or diagrams, or bringing in Google Earth in a world geography class where they actually visually see it, and it's just different. And then of course differentiating the project, making sure they have multiple ways of turning it in instead of just turning it in a book report. Or, and I always see this at the GT showcase, and I'm sure every district has GT showcases, but I know in our GT showcase, I walk in and I can almost bet 90% of the time, I don't see a whole lot of differentiation. I see a lot of technology and a lot of kids that did PowerPoints. They would use Edulog Store, or they did Movie Maker. But the teacher, when gave the assignment, said you will create it in a Movie Maker. Well, for me, that's not differentiation. That's telling the student this is the one outlet you have to show me that this is what you learned. That differentiation means that you're giving them multiple ways of showing you and justifying to you how they constructed their own knowledge. And so, I guess it's just different for different people, so, or for different teachers. And then of course manipulating the environment. You see it a lot in the elementary level. They have them working in collaboratively groups. Their desks are like stuck together like glue until they take the tax test, and then all of a sudden they magically go to rows. Or a couple weeks before, we get them ready, and so they're starting to go in the rows already. So just kind of, that's another form of differentiation that we probably do for the most part, and we don't even realize it. So some examples. Okay, so the first couple are some actual schools that I found that do project-based learning. If you've never seen project-based learning, it looks totally different from a traditional classroom, because it almost looks like the kids are role-playing, and they're role-playing, but they're learning whatever it is that they're role-playing about. So So they have to go through kind of these different things to do that. So let's watch this first one. This first one's a little bit long. I won't do the whole thing, but I'll show the majority of it.
Creating a school to serve nearly 500 3 to 5-year-olds might seem like a recipe for disaster. Some days are chaotic here, like when the Auburn University Pep Squad shows up, or when a tornado touches down nearby.
Boys and girls, please move into your bedroom locations at this time. We will come around and check on everyone.
But on a typical day, the students and staff at Alabama's Auburn Early Education Center are busily engaged in learning adventures, like sailing a cardboard cruise ship to Africa,
Okay, Jordan and Dylan are going to pass your life vest out to you.
or flying a plastic plane to Brazil.
You go ahead and give her your boarding pass.
For them, the lifelong learning exploration can't begin too soon. Just about everything that goes on here involves long-term projects that students undertake as a class.
Do you know where that is, what it's called?
South America, Brazil.
It is Brazil. And this is the place that you are studying about.
That is a big place.
The theme for each project evolves out of the natural curiosity of the kids.
Here is some information about the camel, and it says
Once the students decide on a theme, teachers guide them to resources in books and on the internet to help focus their efforts.
Let's say that the theme is Brazil, and they begin to study Brazil, they go on the internet, they look up information, then they decide that we want to go there. And the teachers pose to them, well, how can we get there?
And if they didn't have the map, they couldn't get there.
they couldn't get there.
Then they may decide, well, we're going by plane, we need to construct some type of model of plane. And the teachers get the internet resources and book resources, they take them on the field trip.
Where did you get the information to know that?
Well, we went to the Auburn airport to see all the instruments. There was instruments inside planes to make it work. They make us how fast we're going
The kids are very highly motivated to be involved because they're doing it for a reason. It's not just an arbitrary, cutesy activity. It has no real meaning or value for them. So that's why teaching using thematic curriculum keeps the kids very engaged in the activities.
You have to have your passport to get on the plane.
This year, Captain speaking, we're flying to Brazil, and we don't expect a lot of turbulence.
All of it involves developing the plan, carrying it through, writing about it, and cooperation, problem solving, critical thinking are all pieces to getting that project completed.
Remind everybody what we decided that we needed at our funeral.
With a bit of skillful coaching, everyday events, like the death of the class pet praying mantis, can trigger engaging projects.
Can you share with them what you decided needed to go on the tombstone?
That's his name.
Both his name.
After her students decided to give the deceased a funeral, teacher Stacy Jones found a way to fold all of the required curriculum into the project. Among other things, they practiced writing and drawing by designing invitations for the ceremony.
I got in science, I got in social studies, I got in math, I got in writing. I got in everything, all through an authentic purpose for learning. They were interested, and once you have them interested, they can't get enough information. They love school because they're interested, because it's authentic.
I went to the dentist for them to take pictures of my teeth.
Since most